So logically, our next step from developing those forms is going to be something that is called perspective. Perspective is simply how we see something. And I'm going to start us off with the concept of 1-point perspective. Now, I'm going to try to keep this a little bit straight on the screen here. And 1-point perspective, you're going to go ahead and start off with very lightly drawing a horizon line. Then somewhere on that horizon line, put a dot. This is the horizon. Oops, move over. Horizon line. Sorry. And that dot on the horizon is what we call the vanishing point. This is a vanishing point. Now this may be review, and we did go over it a little bit in class, but I want to talk about it again in more detail. Now, for the purposes of this, we're going to start below that horizon, and we're going to start off with just a regular rectangle or square. It doesn't quite matter which you do. Ready, one? All right, so we start off with our rectangle. And this is a solid object, so I am going to start on the bottom right corner. I'm going to draw a diagonal line to that vanishing point. Now I'm not going all the way there. You can see that it implies that it goes all the way there. I'm just going to stop about the length I want to have this. I'm going to do the same thing on the top right and the top left corners. Again, I'm keeping the ruler straight in line with that vanishing point. Now this shape here, this is my rectangle. That top line should be parallel to the line in the back. This is a vertical line. It should also be parallel to the line in the back. And I'm saying that because you can use different shapes in 1-point perspective. But currently, I have this cube. Below the horizon, we will see 1, 2, and 3 different sides. Front, side, and top. Above the horizon, we're going to see 3 different sides as well. So go ahead and draw another rectangle or square. Make this one a little bit closer to the vanishing point and a lot higher. So again, starting with the corner, lining it up with my vanishing point. The closer something is to that vanishing point, the more drastic your diagonal lines are going to be. Again, your diagonal lines are showing depth. Let's write that down. Diagonal is your depth. Your vertical, in this case anyway, is your height. And your horizontal is your width. So I'm going to again mimic my vertical line in the back, staying vertical. A lot of the mistakes here is that we tend to go diagonal in connecting. Horizontal line, just lowering my ruler and keeping it horizontal. And we have the front, the side, and the bottom. So above the horizon line, we're looking up, and we see the bottom of something. Below the horizon line, we're looking down, and we see the top of it. What if it bisects the horizon line? So if your shape bisects the horizon line, you're going to start at that bottom right corner on this side. And that's because I am to the left of the vanishing point. I'm just going to draw until I hit this one because I'm going to stop. Show it behind it. And then I'm going to draw from the top, just as long as I want it to be. I'm going to draw a vertical line down. Then I'm going to erase the little horizon that's inside there. And when something bisects the horizon, we're looking dead on, so we will see the front and the side, but we do not see the top or bottom. Again, that's the front and the side, but not the top or bottom. Now, if you have something directly in line with the vanishing point, it makes that very difficult to draw a shape because that line goes directly to the vanishing point. But it can still work. It'll work in the case that we won't see the inside, but we can see the front and the top on this case because I was under the horizon line. And again, these are just working with rectangular prisms, and my lines aren't perfectly vertical or perfectly horizontal on any of these, but this is very simply one-point perspective. Our next assignment is quite simple. We're going to utilize one-point perspective, and that's it, to draw whatever it is that we like to draw. Can I do anything other than these shapes? Sure, I can do lots of them. I can do a cylinder. I do tell you that it's a lot easier to draw a shape that has edges. Does it have to? No. You can do curves. Curves are just harder to actually get to fit into things. But I can change, even here, the idea of this diagonal not going to the right spot. Let's go ahead and change this up a little bit. Now this does not go to the vanishing point because the front of this shape is just straight at me. My point of view is this shape. So to the vanishing point, I'm going to take that top left corner, draw a diagonal, only as far as I want it, and then I'm going to mimic this line, just like I did on the others, and create that space. And here I'm going to take that top diagonal, line it up with my vanishing point, draw an angle back, do the bottom the same way, and then we're going to throw it again one last time. So in one-point perspective, we're looking at something that is a single point of view. We're fixated on that dot. Now, is that the case in real life? Is that how we're going to be able to see things? Well, it all depends on where you're standing, right? So if these were buildings and there was a road, we could pretend that road was our fixated point in this scenario, right? So we are stuck in this. Oops, I think I froze. All right, there we are. I don't know if I lost you there for a second, but my screen went black, so hopefully it didn't translate across. But anyway, so if we are stuck in this fixed point, we can actually create a ground level here and a sky level here. Could we put organic shapes in? Sure. The one thing that people like to do, and I'm going to kind of scoot over this way, is try to draw something directly on the horizon. Let's say it's a building really far in the background, right? The issue with that is that this above the horizon is sky, and below it is the ground or the earth. That building is in the sky. In order to put it on the ground, I do have to bring it onto the ground. Once I do that, I can give it some depth. Now, is it going to have a lot of depth? No. Can we still do the silhouette of buildings really far off in the distance? Sure. The idea or the concept here isn't for you to, to limit your creativity. It's just to give you a better idea of how we see things. The closer you are to the horizon, the stranger the bottom looks. So I would recommend, keeping your things about an inch, maybe, from that line. Let's see, how much is that? That's about 1 inch. Otherwise, what I'm going to ask you to do is fill a page. And then our next thing is this. You are radiance. You are the light. If you're going to value this and you are the light, the furthest thing from you will be the darkest. All right, so you're going to work your values from dark to light. Remember, it's okay to go back over your lines. If you need to use the ruler, go ahead and do so. If you need a little highlight between the two, you can use your eraser and do so as well. I usually like to just make sure I put a little more shadow on that underneath part as I'm coming up. Well, that looks like it's my time for now. I will come back to this and add some more value, but that should get you started well on your own. Thanks.